The gate arm on level 3 came down on its own twice that October, both times during the same 3-second power flicker, and both times there was nothing underneath it. I noticed because I write everything down. Ticket numbers, timestamps, which stall a car pulls into, whether the arm cycle's clean or sticks. Habit from a warehouse job before this one. Marv, my supervisor, thought it was funny the first week, but he stopped teasing once I started catching double-billed tickets before they became his problem. I'd taken the overnight shift at the Continental Street garage in downtown Youngstown, 11 to 7, 6 months after the department store it used to serve had closed and boarded its windows. The garage stayed open because an insurance company still leased the top 2 floors of the attached building. Quiet work. 4 levels, maybe 30 cars overnight on a busy week. Marv trained me my first week. Badge in at the side door, never the stairwell on the level 3 end after dark. Door doesn't latch right, he said. And one other thing, tacked on almost as an afterthought. If the power flickers, don't let the level 3 arm cycle automatic. Walk up there and crank the manual release yourself. Log the ticket number even if there's no car under it. Why would there be no car if the arm's coming down? Just do it that way, he said. Guy before me did it that way. I never asked why. I wrote it down under things I didn't understand yet and let it go. For the first month, nothing about the rule felt strange. Power flickered maybe twice, both times during storms, and both times I walked up, found the arm resting harmless on an empty lane, cranked it, logged a ticket number that didn't correspond to anyone parked there, and went back to the booth. I chalked it up to bureaucratic inertia. There was a small brass plaque by the level 3 stairwell door, in memory of W. Cobb, garage attendant, 1961-1988. Marv told me power went out during a storm, back when the arms still needed a hand crank every time. Cobb went up to release it manually, and a car coming down the ramp too fast didn't see him standing in the lane. The cleaning crew found him in the morning. That's part of why the rule stuck, probably, he said. Somebody figured if you're already walking up there by hand, you ought to log it properly, so there's a record of who was on that level and when. I didn't push further. New employees who ask too many questions about a dead man don't make a great first impression. 6 weeks in, going back through old entries on a slow Tuesday, I found a stretch from the spring before I started, recorded by 2 different attendants, in 2 different handwritings, where every single flicker-triggered manual entry on level 3 landed on a ticket number ending in the same 3 digits. Different months, different attendants, same trailing digits, every time. I mentioned it to Marv at shift change. Huh, he said, and went back to counting the drawer. He wasn't hiding anything. He genuinely didn't care. I let it sit, telling myself the ticketing machine probably recycled number blocks on some interval I didn't understand. What I couldn't explain as easily came from the cameras. In late October, during a flicker that lasted maybe 4 seconds, I glanced at the level 3 feed before heading up, and caught a car already parked in stall 3C, a dark, boxy sedan, older than anything else that used the garage. By the time I climbed the stairs 90 seconds later, stall 3C sat empty. No tire marks in the dust, no exhaust smell, nothing. I told myself the camera glitched. Cheap analog units do that. I wrote the timestamp down anyway. It happened again 9 days later. Same stall, same car, same 4-second flicker window, and this time I didn't go up right away. I sat in the booth and watched the monitor instead. The sedan sat motionless in 3C for 11 seconds after the power steadied, long enough that I was certain it wasn't a glitch, and then the frame simply cut. Not faded, not glitched, just gone, replaced by the same empty stall the feed had shown all night. I pulled the maintenance file on the cameras the next afternoon. Buried in a folder of service records was an incident report from 1988, filed by the garage's insurance carrier. It described the vehicle involved in Cobb's death as a dark sedan, and noted the license plate reported by a witness 3 blocks away didn't match any vehicle registered in the state that year. The case had been closed unsolved. Attached to the report was a photocopy of Cobb's personal shift log. Most of it was routine: weather, traffic counts, a complaint about the level 3 arm needing grease. Near the final pages, the entries changed. The same observation, worded almost identically, written 3 separate times across 2 different weeks. Dark sedan on 3, gone by the time I got up there, logged the ticket anyway. I sat with that for the rest of my shift, the booth heater ticking under the desk, downtown Youngstown empty and orange under the sodium lights outside. I told myself people repeat themselves in journals all the time. That's still, honestly, the most likely explanation I can offer. I just can't make it cover everything. What I can't explain as easily is the last entry in Cobb's log. Undated. Log the ticket. Don't remember walking up. Log says I did. I recognized the sentence because I'd written something close to it in my own notebook 4 nights earlier. A note that I'd logged a level 3 ticket during a flicker, but genuinely couldn't recall the walk up the stairwell. I brought all of it to Marv near the end of my 2nd month. Instead of the shrug I expected, he went quiet, turning his coffee cup in both hands. You start comparing what you remember against what the paper says, he told me. You'll drive yourself in circles out here. Long as the log's filled out and the gate's down, corporate doesn't care why. Neither should you. Did Cobb stop caring? He didn't answer that one. I requested the evening shift 2 weeks later, 4 to midnight, before the flicker window that always seemed to land closest to 2 in the morning. Nothing dramatic pushed me to it. I just stopped wanting to be the one standing alone on an empty level, cranking a gate arm by hand, wondering whether the ticket number would still make sense in daylight. The company eventually replaced the level 3 cameras with newer digital units. Marv still works the overnight desk, logging the flicker tickets exactly the way he always has. When I asked whether the new cameras had caught anything since the upgrade, he told me the footage from the first 6 months had already been overwritten before anyone thought to check it. I still have my old notebook, with a ticket number that never matched a single car.